Hello dear friend, it is Christmas in my house and I'm baking cookies. I'm baking my wonderful cookies that I stuff bags of and share with the people I love and I'm grateful for. And today, lemon ricotta cookie Italiana. Italiana is in the house. So let's make this dough. It is actually Giada De Laurentiis. If you'd rather watch her making those cookies, you can. I won't be offended. But this is one of the cookies that I borrowed from her, and we start with, of course, with butter, 1 stick of butter, and 2 cups of sugar. A little bit too much for my taste. And because American recipes typically ask for too much sugar, I usually reduce it just a tiny bit. Nobody ever notices. They taste just as good. They taste just like cookies would. So I have my supply of sugar here, and I will be adding just a cup and a quarter. A cup and a quarter, plenty. So 1 stick of butter. You can follow the recipe, put 2 cups of sugar, or do just a little bit more than a cup. A cup and a quarter is enough for me. There's plenty of sugar that goes. They're actually glazed, and these cookies are wonderful. I make them rather small. I'll show you how I shape them, and then I glaze them, and they go with the lemon glaze on top, and the glaze requires powdered sugar. So there's plenty of sweetness, but they're chewy because they use ricotta. Ricotta is an Italian cottage cheese, so they're a little bit chewy and they are a little bit tart, sweet and tart. They're delicious. I have people who love them. So once the sugar gets creamed up with butter, let's start adding other ingredients. 2 eggs, let them beat up. A teaspoon of salt. Sounds like a lot. Teaspoon of kosher salt. A teaspoon of baking powder, makes them raise a little bit, rise up. Now we need 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, which is a wonderful addition to any cookie. 1, 2, I throw pulp in, doesn't matter. One 15-ounce container of ricotta cheese. It's about 425 grams. Let me shut it off so this cheese is not all over my counter. I'm gonna dump it in. And we need to grate some lemon. The reason I like these cookies is because I like this recipe based on how it tastes. I like that it asks for lemon. They're not super duper simple, and that's an attraction, believe it or not. So there are multiple, all of these cookies that I'm sharing with you require multiple steps. It's not an obstacle course. They just taste good. Now I need a lemon. So I'm gonna zest 1 lemon. And then we also will add 2.5 cups of flour. And I'm gonna make it all into the dough. The dough will be a little bit runny, but don't be scared. It has to be chilled. If you want, you can freeze it a little bit. But I'm gonna put it in the fridge, chill it, and then I'll show you how I shape it. And once they bake, I'll show you how I glaze them. And you know what? I have a sunroom right here. And it's awesome to cool, to chill the cookies before they're glazed. So I'm adding zest, 1 lemon, and 2.5 cups of flour. I'm going to put it all in. Let the machine do its magic. Boom, done. I love this combine, this machine. It's wonderful. So I'll come back to you when I'm ready to shape them up. But in the meantime, I'm gonna put them in the fridge to chill. Now, these cookies are quite soft, so I do like to throw it into the freezer just to give it a little more shape. And it's making the balls and press them. We can press them later, but because I already have one variety of cookies that are round and they're whitish, I'm gonna make these a little flattish, like such. You can even make the balls, and the balls are inch size. I like uniformity. They're fairly small, and I just press them, and occasionally I'm gonna wet my hands so they roll out nicely and don't stick. They'll get a little bit of shine. This is it. This is how they look. Little buttons. And as you see, I choose, with the exception of a few cookies, I choose very frivolous shaping design that lends very nicely to working with children. Or in any group setting. This is so forgiving. You can have a group of people who could help you do these. And as I mentioned, these cookies are baked in advance, maybe 2 weeks in advance. When I put all of my different cookies in the bag, they permeate each other with fragrance. So it is quite a gift to unpack, unwrap. And I feel these are also extremely special in them. All right, so this is my blast chiller. It is pretty chilly, and this is just one batch of cookies, and I have a little puppy coming up. So I rolled them, I let them chill. There's plenty cookies there, and they're not ginormous. I will take 2 sheets and put them in the oven at 375 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes. You have to watch, the sides have to turn a little bit golden brown. That will be a sign that they're finished. I'll show you when they come out how they look. All right, so this is how they look when they came out. I'm gonna show you so you know what to look for. They're not extremely, so they're still puffy. What I'm going to do, I'm gonna use a spatula, and I will transfer them on a different sheet or combine on a single sheet. And the reason I'm doing this and putting them close together and putting them back on my glass chiller is because when I glaze, I want them to be close to each other. So I'm not using a lot of baking sheets because I could be baking something else. And it's easier to glaze them when they're together. See, they're not really, these are a little more golden brown, but they're still nice and puffy. They did melt down a little bit, but they retain their shape. They are still small and bite-sized, and they will be perfect for glazing. And if they are together, the glaze is not gonna drip around too much. I'll show you. There is a process to everything, and it's very simple once you get a handle of it. Okay, so I'm gonna stick the next batch in, and these will go outside to cool down so I can glaze and be finished with these wonderful cookies. Okay, so let's make a glaze. Let's make a glaze for our ricotta cookies. And you will need 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1.5 cups of powdered sugar, and the zest of 1 lemon. Pretty simple glaze. If you feel like you need a little more, feel free to make another batch, or half a batch, or quarter of a batch, whatever you feel like you think you need. And you mix it, and it's going to look like glaze. And it's nice, tart, it's lemony, light and fragrant. And I'm going to glaze all of these cookies and leave them outside to harden up in my glass chiller. And I'll show you how I apply the glaze. And it looks like it's a lot of powdered sugar, not enough lemon. You just have to really mix it in, and will start coming together. If you feel like you absolutely need a little more lemon juice, add more. Just don't make it too runny. I feel like I need more lemon juice, and the best way actually is to mix with the fork. I have a lot of pits in my lemons. I'm trying to avoid. I'll show you how it looks. It is pretty thick, so I'll thin it up even more. You know, everybody's humidity is different, and that impacts. So if you see, it is quite thick. So I think a little bit more lemon would be good. Okay, and the way I apply the glaze is I use the back of my spoon. So this is it. It is still fairly thick, and in the blessed chiller it will be perfect. So I'm going to take when they sit there overnight. You can tell I have a new apron today. Somehow I have a lot of aprons. Somebody gave them as gifts. My mom-in-law. Okay, and what I do, I don't know if you could see, but I take a little bit, put it in the middle. It will dribble around. You don't have to be perfect with it. And I go and apply them. And I will come closer and show you how they look as a finished product. So you see, it's not an exercise in perfection, and it's fairly quickly. I just literally put a little dollop and swivel it around, and the rest will drip to the sides by itself. Okay? So see how they all look? They're all nice and neat, perfect. And it's pretty cold here, so it will harden pretty quickly and I can move them into the bowl. All right, they're finished, they're done, they're wonderful. See, they're not sticky, they're perfectly glazed, fragrant, delightful, awesome, chewy. As I would normally say, they're wonderful. Please try them.